Hello and welcome back to another video, and yet again we are in the studio and it's raining outside. So if you can hear the rain, I've actually just quite enjoyed sitting out here for a few minutes, but we're going to get started with this video. And before I do get started on it, I just want to say thank you for all of the support. We've just clocked over 1,500 subscribers on this channel, and I just want to say thank you so much for all the comments, all the information that you guys share, all the questions that you ask. It really does help the channel out. And it really is nice to see all that support from you guys. I've had some incredible opportunities of things I can do with my class in school, mainly thanks to this channel and things people have offered me. And so thank you very much for all of those, and I do really appreciate all the support and all the lovely comments that you guys leave. And we have actually just launched some channel memberships on this channel, which there is a link in the description down below if you're looking to join the channel and offer a little bit more support and really help the channel out and help it grow even further. And thank you so much. Do go have a look. There's 3 different tiers of channel memberships and you get various different rewards for each tier. So thanks a lot for all of those. And now let's get into the video, which today is talking all about teachers' PPA and what it's used for and why it's a thing, really. So before we get properly started, PPA, that's kind of planning time, it's assessment time. I don't actually know what the proper PPA stands for. Planning, assessment, and some other P. Not really sure. But basically it's the time when teachers use it to get prepared for things coming up, to get some jobs done that they don't necessarily want to do after school. And so planning normally happens in an afternoon, though it does sometimes happen in the morning. You get one afternoon a week as a teacher to have that time to do your planning. And all teachers know that it's not possible to do all of your planning in one afternoon, and you have to do some after school, you have to do some at a weekend, you have to do some wherever you're going to fit it in your classroom, in your time around the school day, really, because as we know, teaching is not just a 9 till 3 job. But when you do get a little bit of planning time, it is a really little nice way of getting some work done that you have kind of had in the back of your mind for a few days. So I have just actually finished my planning time today. My planning time this year is on a Friday afternoon. So on a Friday, that's when I have my time and I can sit and get myself ready. And I normally usually get ready for the week coming up. So I've sat and I've got ready and I made sure all my resources are ready for next week. All my planning's done. All my slides are ready, and I know everything is kind of printed and ready at school, which I actually got done before I started my planning time, the printing side of it. So I know Monday morning I can just walk into the classroom and everything will be ready. I just need to give the books out and get started with the day. So it's a really important thing for me to have that time, but I want to talk a little bit about how schools do it differently. So my school, I'm very lucky in that we are a 1 elementary school and our head allows us to go home for our planning time. So at lunchtime on a Friday, I'll leave school and I'll go home and I'll sit and I'll get all my planning done at home because we know we are efficient workers, we can get it done. And our head has also said that actually, you know what, if we don't have quite enough time on a Friday, or if there's something comes up where we have to do something like a doctor's appointment or a visit to go see some family, or something happens on an afternoon when your planning time is meant to be, then you know what, if we get that time done another time, that's absolutely fine. So it just means you have to catch up that time on a weekend or after school. And she knows, you know, it's a realistic view of when you're out of school on an afternoon. There are things that sometimes come up where you can, you know, get a doctor's appointment in on an afternoon rather than have to wait weeks to have one. So there's a very realistic view of the planning time, which I do very much appreciate. But the vast majority of those afternoons, like this afternoon, I've spent doing my planning, getting my work sorted, and getting ready for the next week. However, not all schools do allow their teachers to leave, and that is for some very good reasons. So, for example, my wife's school, she works in a school where they have multiple forms in each year group. It's like 2 or 3 classes per year. At that school, the teachers don't leave school during their PPA because they actually sit with their other teachers in the same year group and they get their planning done together, because obviously some of them will plan one subject, some will plan another subject, and they work off each other's planning. And so they sit and do it all together because it's nice kind of base to get everything sorted for the week coming up. So they've sat and done that this week, and each week they'll sit together and get that planning sorted. Now, we're both lucky this year in the sense both our planning is on a Friday afternoon, so it means we have a nice early finish on a Friday and we both get home at a sensible time and enjoy the start to the weekend. But yeah, that's a school where that is done differently, and planning time is something that is taken, but it's taken at school, and they have to stay there and make sure they get all their planning done together. Now, another thing to think about is actually in a private school, I don't think planning time is necessarily a given. So in a private school, obviously, they don't have to follow the national curriculum to the same extent. They don't have to follow the kind of national pay scales to the same extent, and they don't have to give teachers PPA as well. And so that's something to think about. And I didn't know that when I first started working, because I initially always thought I wanted to work in a private school. And then having started working in a state school, I've realized actually I'm very happy where I am. But yeah, a private school doesn't necessarily have to give their teachers PPA. That's not to say that they don't, and that's not to say that teachers don't get PPA at all in a private school, but it's not necessarily a given. It's something to which you ask if you're applying to go to work in a private school. And this is always the point that I get to with these videos, where I want to say, can you guys offer out some other answers to this question of how the teachers use their planning time? Because I'm sure there'll be some schools that do things completely differently to the way I've even mentioned it. And what does your school do for planning time? How do they cover the lessons? Who does cover the lessons? What things happen? I'd love to let you guys let me know in the comments if you've had something that is different to what you've heard, or if you agree with what I've said and your school does one of the things, and let me know. Was it the first one where you get to go home? Was it the second where you have to stay? Was it the third where you don't get it at all because you work in a private school? Let me know what you think about planning time and how it's used at your school. So I do think it's a very, very important thing, and it's not something that I remember as a child at school, teachers having the planning time. I'm sure they probably did. It was just in a lesson where we were doing like PE outside or something like that, and they had that time then. But it's not something that is very obvious to me as a child when I was growing up that it was used. However, it might be that I was just oblivious as a child and I didn't know everything that went on, because when I was training to become a teacher, I didn't even know teachers get planning time. So before I kind of started, it wasn't something I was really ready for. And again, this is why I make these videos. So if you guys are looking to get a job in teaching, and I had a comment recently from someone who I'll put on the screen, who was saying how for someone who's training to be a teacher or preparing to train to be a teacher, these videos are invaluable. And that is the whole point of these videos, to hopefully help you guys be in the best possible position to start being a teacher when you do qualify for that training, when you're going through the training. Give as much tips and advice as you can. And I think we're also getting to the point now where PPA is becoming more and more important, because the workload on teachers is increasing. The workload that of the amount of things that you have to do just keep on going up and up and up. And we always hear about new things that schools are being asked to do by the government, when they're saying, actually, we need to work on this. So can schools cover that? Can schools do this? And we just had a staff meeting recently all about writing, and how the government's brought out a writing review. And so they're going to have a look at how all schools do their writing and how they can try and improve, because writing is one of the things where, since COVID's happened, the gaps between children, disadvantaged children and more advantaged children, the gaps have increased in their writing, and it's something that is falling short across the country. I think it was something like a third of children at GCSE don't actually achieve a pass rate in their writing GCSE, which really surprised me. So those are the types of things where hopefully these videos can help you get ready for what is coming down the line in terms of teaching. And there's always something new, there's always something changing, and hopefully PPA is one of the things that is here to stay, because it's a very, very valuable time for a teacher to have that time to sit and plan and look ahead and get ready for the week coming up. But it's also something where I think it depends how your school does it. It depends what kind of trust levels are at your school, but also it depends on whether or not you have to work with other teachers in your year group, because again, that's something I've never actually worked on myself. I've never worked in a two-form entry school, and so I've always kind of had my own little bubble of work that I've got to do for my year group, and it's something I've got to focus on myself. So as always, I'd love to hear how you guys are doing. I'd love to hear any video ideas that you'd like coming up. I've got lots and lots and lots of stuff planned for this channel, lots and lots of ideas coming up. But hopefully you guys can help us out and give us some ideas of things you want to see, and then I will make those videos for you too. And as always, thank you very much for all the support. And like we said, the channel memberships have launched live now. And so hopefully if you guys can offer a little bit more support to the channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to join us and help us and get those dedicated rewards for those channel memberships, then thank you very much for doing that. And as always, I will see you very soon on the next video. There's a new video on a Tuesday, a Friday, and a Sunday. And yeah, I'll see you there.